Hey folks, it's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Also home to the best MJ community. Today is Wednesday, November 27th. Hope you're doing awesome and happy hump day. In this video, we're going to be discussing Acreage Holdings again. We're going to talk about the absolute bloodbath and collapse, wealth destruction, whatever you want to call it. Yesterday was a very disturbing day. I don't know about you, but I had a lot of people saying, this smells weird. This looks funny. And then, half a dozen people reached out. I didn't know them, but they commented on my videos, social media, etc., saying that they lost all their money. And, it's brutal to think about the promise and the wait that we had to go through when we initially found out about Acreage acquiring Canopy. Imagine all those people that were waiting. And then Canopy USA is set to close. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, investors get nothing. And that's usually the theme when it comes to this game is they always give retail the shaft. We always lose, every average Joe and Jane, they usually lose 99% of the time. And it's because the game is rigged. And I've got a clip here from Joe Rogan that is very disturbing as well that kind of proves this. And again, I'm not trying to be an alarmist or anything like that. It's just, this is the cold hard truth, more than likely. We can't confirm it, but it's disturbing, but most likely true. Before we get to it, make sure to smash the like. It helps support me in the channel. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell. You'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. And as always, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. You can also follow us over on X, formerly Twitter. Handle for that is @GroupPow. So here was the bloodbath that occurred over the last couple of days. You can see we were hovering around 20 cents and then somewhere around 15 cents. And then all of a sudden we drop off a cliff. And we found out yesterday that when Acreage acquires them next month, it's essentially going to be valued at zero, because if Canopy was under $5 at the time of the acquisition, then the fixed share amount would be zero. And this is just absolute wealth destruction. And you have to look at what happened with CGC, right? Like this happened too. They shafted retail 99.5% essentially from the all-time highs to the low there, almost 100% wealth destruction. And I was lucky enough not to be, all in on one name or anything like that, or break the bank, or, use all my dry powder. I learned my lessons in the crypto bear markets and bull markets, never ever go all in and never ever risk more than I'm willing to lose. So I want to share this clip, and this is just very disturbing. And if you don't know Mark Andreessen, he's general partner at Andreessen Horowitz, which is a huge investing firm, and he's worth 1.9 billion USD. So, not only is he on Joe Rogan, everybody respects Joe Rogan for the most part, but this is also Mark Andreessen saying this, so this has some serious weight behind it. So check this out.
Media. The AI thing was very alarming. We had meetings this spring that were the most alarming meetings I've ever been in, where they were taking us through their plans, and it was
like what kind of? Can you talk about it?
Basically, just full government control, like this sort of thing. There will be a small number of large companies that will be completely regulated and controlled by the government. They told us. They just said don't even start startups. Like don't even bother. Like there's just no way. There's no way that they can succeed. There's no way that we're going to permit that to happen.
Wow.
Yeah, they said this is already over. It's going to be 2 or 3 companies, and we're gonna control them, and that's that. Like this is already finished.
Oh my God! Yeah. No, when you leave a meeting like that, what do?
You go endorse Donald Trump.
So that should definitely leave you feeling disturbed, right? And they're talking about AI. Mark Andreessen, we had meetings with the Biden admin where they told us not to even start AI companies because there's no way they'll let them succeed. Joe Rogan, what do you do after a meeting like that? Go endorse DT. So, you have to wonder, like, if they're doing that to AI, what other disruptive industries are they doing that to? Might it be the internet? Might it be, the automobile industry? Might it be the MJ industry, right? So you have to think like, and it's the disruptors, right? Whenever they get disrupted, they have to go and they go after their friends with their government buddies and their lawsuits, and they drill them into the ground. And then what they usually do is they create chaos and just crazy bankruptcies and CCAA filings and things like that to make things go on sale. And then the select few companies that they pick, right? They go and they buy everything up fire sales for a penny on the dollar, right? And remember when Justin Trudeau here in Canada, I'm from Canada, and our prime minister said it's time for the government to catch up and support the MJ industry. This was March 17, 2023. It was legal in October of 2018. So it took, 5 years, and they still haven't really done anything. Excise tax is like 1/3 of the revenue. Why do you think they're doing this? Like, I almost want to make a funny meme, like, hey, look, I'm average Joe, average Jane starting an MJ shop, and I'm going to make it big in life. And, there's someone looking back or something like that in the meme, and it's actually the government being like, haha, crazy fool thinks we're going to let him succeed or something like that. And it's so true, right? Like, why else would they be holding the industry back? Why would they be letting the illicit market thrive? Why would they be making kids and adolescents and whatnot and young people be desperate and buy these types of drugs from illegal traffickers, right? Like, it's laced with fentanyl and all this stuff. So it just doesn't make any sense. And here we are in Canada, over 6 years old, and we still have a 10 milligram cap on the edibles. Like, it's just asinine. So you have to think, like, what's the real motive here? And in my opinion, it's to slow the industries down that are being disrupted, right? Slow the industry down that are being disrupted. The automobile industry, with regards to MJ, it's definitely tobacco, big pharma, alcohol. I used to work at a big pharmaceutical company, multi-billion-dollar, was into the opioid crisis. It got fined, right? And next thing you know, all they can talk about is CBD and MJ for the next year and a half, right? Because I guess we can't do this opioid thing as much anymore. So what's the next big thing? MJ. So, and it's just, it's so blatantly obvious that, it's going to be a select few companies. And, it's the same way in any industry, right? It's usually a select few, usually a handful or a couple handfuls at the most that run the industry. And there's usually 2 or 3 really big players, right? So like you said in this video, it's going to be 2 or 3 companies that are going to be regulated by the government, and the government won't even let them. We'll just drill them with lawsuits. Okay, so now let's go back to Acreage Holdings here for a second. Acreage Holdings, if you actually look this up, John Boehner. Okay, so members of Acreage Holdings board of directors include former Republican Congressman and Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, John Boehner, former Libertarian Republican Governor of Massachusetts, Bill Weld, you don't say, and former IBM, imagine that, former IBM Chief Financial Officer, Douglas Mayne, and former Conservative Prime Minister of Canada, Brian Mulroney. Well, I'll be damned, right? Like, what are the odds that we have one of the biggest companies, oldest companies, established companies, IBM, and then we have, Republican, like a Speaker of the House, we've got even the Prime Minister, Conservative Prime Minister, former of Canada, Brian Mulroney. Like, this is just, it's so blatantly obvious what they're doing. Like, there's only going to be a select few companies. And like I said, probably 2 or 3 main big ones, like the global powerhouses, right? And I'm starting to think that we should probably buy Canopy Growth now and load up, because you have to think what they did. They not only did they crash and short the shit out of, excuse my French, out of Canopy and, just wealth destruction, all retail holders at the top. They're going to be able to buy the blood and buy the bottom. They're going to create a new bull market. They just basically acquired Acreage for free, and, the shareholders are getting nothing, right? It's absolutely insane that, this happens. And then there's also non-dilutive type of financing, and then also kind of like share structure, right? So a lot of these, like Mark Andreessen's and Andreessen Horowitz and all these early venture, like angel investors and venture capitalists, they get in so early. And usually, if you partner with a big corporation, you've got some sort of form of equity where it's non-dilutive, right? And that's why it says in the market cap, fully diluted market cap, which means basically all the rich people get to hold the non-dilutive ones, and they leave the rest on retail, right? And why is it that there's the accredited investor status where you have to have a net worth of $1 million or $200,000 a year of income for the last 4 years? I don't know what the exact rules are, but it's something like that, and it's different in every country, jurisdiction, etc. So you have to think, like, why they're trying to keep us out of it. They're trying to screw us all, so the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And you really have to just look at this. It does not smell right at all what happened with Acreage, with what happened with Canopy. They absolutely destroyed the company. And, all at the expense of retail holders. The company will be fine. It'll just dilute, raise more, tap the equity markets, right? Like, it'll be fine in the long run, because these are the companies that are backed by, the government, and they have all this lobbying, and they have all these networks and contacts and the money to put behind it, right? So, man, and like Peter Thiel was involved in Tilray in the early days, apparently. So, you really have to put your tinfoil hat on sometimes. And like, I really do think that Tilray, Cureleaf, and probably Canopy Growth are going to be the number 3, probably top 5 for sure, but probably top 3 in that order, I would think. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. And then, there'll be some other winners and things like that. But I think there'll be 2 or 3, main ones, and then, 6 to 12 global players, but there'll be 2 or 3 that run the world, similar to like an Anheuser-Busch or an InBev, Budweiser example, right? So anyways, that's enough tinfoil hat for today, but let me know your thoughts and opinions on this in the comment section below. We'll continue the conversation there, but like I said, thoughts and prayers go to anyone who lost money to this nonsense. But yeah, don't worry. We just have to, pick the winners, do our best to pick the unicorns and the winners long term, and wait it out, right? The stock market is a mechanism from transferring wealth from the impatient to the patient, and it's also rigged against the little guy and the little gal. So if you're listening to my voice, we're probably little guys and little gals. So we have to be extra cautious and extra mindful of the mind games. All right, going into there, it's Rod with the POW Group. Thanks again for joining us in the pursuit of wealth, and we'll catch you on the next one.